Here we go. Oh, all righty. You are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. And why are the Dallas Cowboys 0-16? Because they suck. They just suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much. Part of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free. Fire away. Throw it in the chat box. Usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free. Fire away. Also, instead of me just rambling on for half an hour, 45 minutes, it's just nice to talk to another Giant fan. So once again, please feel free and fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. First one's called the Saquon. Second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third membership level I have is called the Gridiron. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed, thank you. And then finally, also in the description box below, there's 2 Facebook links. The top Facebook links takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's a group. And I say this in every video, but basically my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, my Facebook page, which I'll go over in just a minute. It's all called the same thing, New York Giants, the Gridiron. Basically, it dumbs it down for a moron like me, right? That way I don't have to, what's my YouTube channel called? My Facebook group? What's my group called? Is the page called something different? It's all called the same thing. It makes it nice and easy for a moron like me. That way I don't have to think, because thinking is not my my forte, right? But in the group we're at 5,900. I think we're yesterday. I think we're at 58. So we went up about 100 or so in the past 24 hours or whatever. But by the end of this weekend, so maybe even by tomorrow, who knows? Maybe by the time after the Giants beat the Cowboys Sunday night, who knows? We'll be at 6,000 members. So we're really, it's doing simply marvelous. Basically, what it is, once I get done going live here, I'll spend probably the next couple of hours putting stuff in the group here and in the page, which I'll go over in just a minute. Now that the season is upon us, I try to get, like the off season, I try to get like 10 different things in the group every day. But now the season is here. There's so much stuff out there. It's freaking ridiculous. It's unbelievable. So I get like probably at least 20 different things I'm putting in the group every day. Basically, it's 24/7. If I'm alive and breathing, and if I have internet access, darn near 365, right? There's stuff going in this group, right? As whether it's I'm sharing an article, it's a post, a picture, a video, maybe something just showing some stats on a ball player, something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites, right? There's a ton of stuff going in here every day in the group. And not only do I post stuff in here, but members put stuff in here as well too. So between me and the members, every day there's a boatload of stuff going in there. And then also the second Facebook link takes you to my Facebook page. I'm the administrator in there, so I'm the only one to post anything in there. But, it's the same thing. Once I get going live here, as I said, between the group and the page, I put stuff in. As I said, same thing in the page. I put videos in there, share articles, a post of pictures, some showing some stats on a ball player. Once again, I got to get stuff making fun of the Eagles and the Cowboys in there. It's a ton of stuff every day. And I don't commingle the stuff. So basically the stuff that I put in the page, I don't put in the group. Whatever I put in the group, I don't put in the page, right? I just try to keep the stuff separate. So, as I was saying, darn near almost 365. I mean, I might miss maybe 1 or 2 days a year or something like that, but for the most part, darn near almost 365. There's stuff going in the page and the group, So if you go to the page, you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member. As I said, almost 365. There's a boatload, ton, whatever you want to call it, information going in there every day. But you can't please everybody, right? So I got my money back guaranteed. If you go to the page, you like it, and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, if you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right, with all that stuff said and done out of the way with, well, boy, I'll tell you what, up Jersey guys, hey. He re-injured his hamstring that landed him on the RI last season with Vegas, and his list is questionable. Yeah, yep, yeah, I seen that. I also saw, what was it? Because I seen a video too that somebody, I don't remember who it was. It was one of the reporters or something like that. Said something like, said something like, don't jump off the deep end or something or whatever. Waller looks fine. They said they had a picture of him like in practice, and he didn't seem too bad or nothing like that. So. Well, we'll have to. I certainly have to keep an eye on him. That's for sure. Let me see where we at here, because because last year, right? He played 9 games. He started 6. Now, let's see. This was last year, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So last year, it didn't happen right away. He played 1, 2, 3, 4. He played 5 games last season. Then in the 6th game, he was out with the hamstring. Then the 7th game, he was questionable with the hamstring. 8th game, he was questionable with the hamstring. Then it landed him on IR for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for 6 games. So he the first 5, he was fine. After he came back from IR, the final 3 looked like he was fine. So the first 5 and the last 3, he was good. So somewhere in maybe one of those questionable games. Let's see here. We go here. October 30th against the Saints. And I didn't look this up, and then November 6th against Jacksonville. It looks like he probably played in one of those games. So if he played in 9 games, he might have played in the first 5 and the final 3, and then he played against either the Saints or Jacksonville. And then, of course, maybe it was Jacksonville, and he re-injured it again or something like that. Then he was on an IR for 6 weeks. Then he came back, and then he played against Pittsburgh on Christmas Eve. San Francisco on New Year's Day, and the final game of the season, he played against Kansas City on January 7th. So, yeah, that's what that was the hamstring year. Then, of course, the year before that, let's see, he missed 5 games. The year before 2020, that's when he had 107 receptions. Actually, the 2020, 2019. I mean, yeah, he was the man. He played in all 32 games. 2019, he had 90 receptions for 1,145 yards. I mean, then, of course, 2020 he had 107 receptions, 1,196 yards, and 9 touchdowns. But in 2021, he missed 5 games. Now, let's see here. Once again, it was the same thing. He didn't start the season off on IR. It was something that happened. But in 2021, it wasn't the hamstring. He was questionable, and it said non-injury, so questionable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like week 7 against the Eagles, October 24th against the Eagles. It said non-injury related. So for whatever reason, he was questionable, non-injury related. So. But the injuries propped up later. Let's see. Oh, let me scroll this down here a little bit. Well, going the wrong way. All right. He was against Washington on December 5th. So basically, in 2021, it took him all the way until December. He was out with a back. Following week, he was out with a knee. Then he was out with a knee. Then he was doubtful with the knee. Then it looks like he came and he played. And then he was questionable with a knee. So he had a back and a knee in 2021. Of course, then he had the hamstring last season. But it didn't start off that way. I mean, actually, the only thing he had last season, because as I said, in 2021, he had a back and a knee. Last season, it was just a hamstring. But, of course, this was one of the things we knew going in. Vlad Owens and Robinson are hurt too. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but started with the Giants and 70 explained a little, But, this is one of the things we knew with Waller. Right? Just because it's like, oh, we got Waller. He has injury. Yeah. Okay, yeah, but we're gonna get down on our knees and we're gonna take our Flintstone vitamins and we're gonna pray to the sweet dear baby Jesus. Please don't let Darren Waller get hurt, please. You know what I mean, and all that, and everything will be just hunky dory. No, not necessarily. Sometimes, sometimes it works out. Sometimes you getting your Flintstone vitamins and praying to sweet dear baby Jesus, right? That everything comes out okay. But sometimes it don't. Sometimes he's got hamstring problems, and sometimes the hamstring problems pop up. Ta-da! So I was going to have to wait and see, but I can't remember who. I posted it into the group. I seen something. Somebody had somebody showed him stretching, and then he walked into the huddle or something like that, and whoever it was, I don't know, it was Dan Dugan or somebody like that, had a video of him and said something like, don't get too discouraged or don't jump off the DS. He said he seems fine. Who knows? It could be just a precautionary thing. Who knows? Bellinger and Cager. Oh yeah. Yep. But also got to figure too, is like with Waller, is that as I said, I said this wasn't last night. Maybe it was last night. Or maybe a couple of nights ago, whatever. And I said, I don't mean to sound like a worthless piece of human trash here, because everybody's worth, everybody in the NFL is human beings, and I hope nobody ever gets hurt, and even the Eagles, even the Cowboys, you know what I mean? And I said, I don't mean to seem like a total piece of trash, but at least the guys we have, a lot of, for the most part, are, backup guys, even Wandale, right? We got Paris Campbell who can play in the slot. We got Sterling Shepard who can play in the slot. Cole Beasley's on IR, you know what I mean? But, so we got guys that can take his place, but like a lot of the other guys, like, for the most part, you don't hear nothing about Andrew Thomas. You don't hear nothing about Glowinski. You don't hear nothing about Michael Schmitz. You don't hear nothing about Bredesen. You don't hear nothing about even Azudu. You don't hear nothing about Evan Neal. You don't hear nothing about Daniel Jones. Nothing about Saquon. Nothing about Hyatt, nothing about Slayton, nothing about Hodgins, nothing about Sterling Shepard, nothing about, Paris Campbell. So basically, Bellinger, right? So, so it's like, we're batting almost 1,000 there. Then you go on the defense, right? It seems like, Nunez, Roaches, and Ashawn Robinson looks like they should be okay. They had some issues during the preseason and all that, right? But Sexy Dexy, Leonard Williams, Azeez, right? Knock on some wood there. Nothing about him. That's all he was last year, was injured. Once again, let's knock on some wood. Nothing about him. Kayvon, remember he had that low block last year in the Bengal game that kind of took him out for a couple games, right? Nothing, right? Deontay Banks, nothing. Trey Hawkins III, nothing. Adoree Jackson, nothing, right? McKinney, nothing. Karake, nothing. You don't hear nothing about, no injuries, nothing. Simmons, not, so, whether Waller plays or not, or whatever, if we got 21 out of 22 starters starting the season, Shane might stink about Waller, but it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, you got to feel pretty fortunate. I mean, especially the way we've been in the past, with all these freaking injuries. Doesn't mean we're going to stay healthy. Doesn't mean, of course, we're going to stay healthy. Oh, yeah. Actually, you know what? Who is it? Oh, Jonathan can see us. He talks Bellinger up a lot. Because the nice thing about with Bellinger is, you can put him like anywhere, he was kind of saying. You know what I mean? You can put him in line. You can put him in the backfield. He can block. He can catch passes. And, here's Randy. Got to move the chair. Hold on. Give me a second. Freaking chairs weigh about 3,000 pounds. Okay, we can continue. Randy's here. We're okay. But Jonathan Casillas, he really likes Daniel Bellinger. But also, of course, it's also, he was talking about, because with Waller in there, So, but, I mean, Bellinger had a fine season last year. Obviously, he bulked up a little bit, bicep Bellinger, I guess they call him. Yeah. He seems like, he'll be a certainly a decent, with or without Waller in there. I mean, he'll get some catches, he'll get some playing time, but I also think, whether hopefully Waller's in there, but, as I said, because we can play a lot of 12 personnel, but you can put Bellinger in line, and then you can obviously, with two tight ends on the field, but that doesn't mean Waller's got to be, on a line of scrimmage. You can put Waller anywhere, So, I mean, Bellinger will be fine. As I said, I mean, I think there's a lot of balls to go around. So, it's going to be tough to see. I mean, say who's going to wind up with a lot of catches this year. I don't know. I mean, one week it could be Hodgins, one week it could be Paris Campbell, then it could be Sterling Shepard or something. As far as with the wide receivers, that's going to be, it's going to be tough. I mean, because a lot of guys, a lot of options. But the thing was, like with Waller, is that, he, obviously he had the problems last year. And where we at it? 20, there we go. So he had, what was it? So he was out for 6 weeks, and then he was crushed. So, I mean, he had hamstring for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like eight weeks, about half the season. He had the hamstring. So he started off okay. Then he had the hamstring issue, and then after it went away, at least he was able to finish the season. So, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it just that's the problem. Those freaking hamstrings is that, are you concerned that opening up the passing game may set back Jones as far as turnover? Well, I mean, because also Dallas, I think they were saying this on Big Blue Kickoff Live. They like to get pressure on the quarterback, but Dallas has led the NFL in turnovers, I believe, the past 2 seasons. So they get, and that's one thing we can't become one-dimensional. You can't do, especially against Dallas. Because if they can pin their ears back and just come running after us, that's not good. Especially if they know that we have to pass. You know what I mean? Because the ball hawks that they got, Micah Parsons and Lawrence, coming off the edge. I mean, sacking the quarterback, interceptions, and everything. Yeah, so we have to maintain, some type of a balance there. That's why it's going to be very important for Saquon, the offensive line, and Saquon. Because if we can get Saquon going, that's going to open up, the passing game big time. Especially because now if you start looking at it, just in case Waller's not there, we're going to need some, need Saquon to and the offensive line, because I said we can't become one-dimensional. At least with Saquon, we can turn him into passing attack. Oh, yeah. Yeah. P-Dot, Paul Dottino, he seems to really think that Saquon's going to get like over 100 yards rushing. I mean, that's one of their weaker things is their run defense. I mean, they got Jonathan Hankins in there, ex-Giant, right? He played with them last season, but he only played I think they traded for him. He only played like half the season or so with them last year. And then they drafted Mazi Smith. Now I've heard mixed reviews about him. Supposed to help out in the middle, but they're, if anything, they're a little weak in the middle as far as their run defense. So, I mean, it's going to be very, very important. I mean, also with Daniel Jones, too. Maybe, I don't know if they try maybe an RPO or something like that, but, if he needs to, if it's 3rd and 6, if he pull, looking, if he's got a little pressure or something like that, if he sees a little alley or something like that, can he get past, Hankins or Mozzie Smith up the middle or something and scramble and get 6 yards? Because that's very demoralizing for like a defense. You hold them, then the quarterback squirts out and gets 6 yards and 1 inch, and we make it by, so first down, another 3 plays, right? Now the defense is, breathing a little bit, and then if they get another first down, then they're breathing a little harder. And, I mean, it's a nice long drive. The problem is with Dallas, they can, at least their front, they probably not going to rotate Micah Parsons in and out, or maybe a Lawrence or something like that, but they can bring other guys in there on the defensive front, to keep the pass rushers fresh. The problem, of course, is that you're not taking Diggs off the field or Gilmore. Yeah, let's rotate cornerbacks. Yeah, that's not happening. So I mean, if you can get some long drives going, Plus, also, I mean, and the key thing is here, you can't get down, too far. I don't know what the game plan is going to be. If it's like, try. I mean, once again, we don't even know if Waller's going to be playing. But I mean, is it going to be 75 pass percent, 25% run? Because I mean, if you can at least stay with the run, even if even if it's not working right away. I mean, you got a 1 yard, 2 yard gain in the first quarter, turns into a 2-3 yard gain in the second quarter, turns into a 3 and 4 yard gain in the third quarter, and turns into a 5, 6, 7, 8 yard in the fourth. Because that starts wearing you down. But the problem is, you can't get down. You can't be down 24-3. With 13 minutes left in the game. Hey, let's keep the running game going. So it's really going to be fascinating. Very, very fascinating. The Giants have to try to stay within strike of them. But we'll see. I mean, they just might have put him on. He's just questionable. That's not, so. But the one thing, I mean, what would you say? A broken arm, right? A break, you cast it up for the most part. If you can keep it, relatively healthy or whatever, cast it, it's got to, 6 weeks. You should be good to go. Okay, that's cool. A hamstring. You know what I mean? You can bend over and tie your shoe. And, oh, shit, I think I just pulled it again or something, That's, you would just think. I mean, it's, a tight hamstrings. You would just think with all the modern technology we got and all of this stuff and everything, don't you think somewhere along the line they could come up with something? I mean, I don't know, massage it or stretch it out or something. Don't you? It's like, how could they like stretch it and this, that, and the other, do all this stuff with the modern medicine we got, and then he can be walking around, whatever, and it's still tight. I mean, some of this stuff just, I don't know. I mean, I'm just, one way I'm a freaking dummy, and a lot of, but just some of the stuff is just like, you got tight hamstring. Okay, can't we do something about? I mean, we can take something from here and shoot it and land it on Jupiter, right? We have that capability. We can shoot something off a satellite way up there, and we can talk to somebody in Asia, right? We have that, but we can't do something with a tight hamstring. I mean, yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, they're doing like heart surgery, little incision, and they got these things. They got they go up to people's groins and stuff like that, and they get these cameras and stuff. They're looking around and people and this and that and all that. We can do all that stuff, but we can't do nothing with a tight hamstring. Okay, I guess, but that's going to be one of those things. You're going to have to, keep an eye on it. But as I said, the video I saw, as I said, it was probably one of the reporters or somebody there or whatever said that it looked like said, he seems to be fine. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it could be just getting something, maybe, something along the line, like getting inside the Cowboys' head. Maybe, I don't know if they even try to do that. But, Dable was talking at his presser, I guess it was today, right? And somebody asked him, I don't know who it was, said, have you decided on your starting guards? And Dable's like, yes, we have. And he started looking around for somebody asked another question, and the guy was like, you want to divulge who those guards are? And he's like, yeah. Next question, So he's not letting them know who the guards are. I don't know why, but maybe it's psychological. I don't know. Who knows? But it's maybe the same thing with Waller. Let's put Darren Waller on the injury. I mean, who knows? Hamstring, man. Could be playing mind game. Who knows? So we'll have to wait and see. Oh yeah. Our interior defensive line. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got some actually. Our interior defensive line is better, and I think our interior defense linebackers are better. I mean, I'll take Kayvon and Azeez. I love those two, but behind them, I think Dallas has a little better rotation as far as the edge players, right? Dallas has got some good cornerbacks. However, they got I got 75,000 tabs open up here. Yep. Is this it? Okay, here we go. So, I mean, they got Tyron Smith. He's questionable with that dude. When healthy, this guy is absolutely unbelievable. Really, absolute freaking stud of an offensive tackle for the Cowboys. But Sam Williams, the defensive end, he's questionable. I think he has turf toe. Tyler Smith, their offensive lineman, his hamstring, he's got a hammy, right? He's doubtful. And Donovan Wilson, their safety, he's doubtful with a calf. So they got and they would talk about this on Big Blue Kickoff Live, and P-Dot, my man P-Dot, Paul Dottino, he was saying, right, he said that the Cowboys' overall 53-man roster is third in the division. Like, meaning like they're starting 22 might be second in the division. But overall, they're meaning like, if what was it? Smith here can't play. Tyler Smith, their offensive lineman, can't go with his hamstring. It's like their depth behind him is not very impressive. So a lot of situations like their defensive front's not bad. Like maybe edge and stuff like that. But some of the spots, they're and that's one of the problems when you have a lot of big time. You got a bunch of big time guys you're paying a lot of money to. Sometimes your depth, you can only afford to pay only so much. And some of your spots, I mean, it's kind of like the Eagles. The Eagles have some spots that, I mean, if I'm saying if DeVonta Smith and Brown get injured, is there anybody on their wide receivers that are going to scare you? I don't think so. So they got, they got some. I mean, if everybody stays healthy, everybody on the Cowboys stays healthy, everybody Eagles stay healthy. Okay, that's a nice, the Eagles, you got to give the hand to the Eagles. I mean, they're number one, starting 22. Yeah, but some of them, especially with the Cowboys. I mean, Paul Dottino was saying their overall 53, the Cowboys is third because you got their starters are up here, and then there's like a fall off with their backups. So. I mean, they got some guys too that are a little bit dinged up. But I said, our interior defensive line. Oh yeah, I mean, the only one I would give, I would rival it would be with the Commanders, and I think I did a thing, videos on positions and all that. I think I put the Commanders at number one. We were number two, I think, in the division. But our interior got so much better than last year. Micah McFadden is obviously is taking a step up, right? We got Okereke because last year, Tay Crowder, Calitro. Austin Calitro. Those were our, those were our starting two in the last, I think, game one. Yeah, now we got, Isaiah Simmons, Micah McFadden's obviously stepped up a little bit, and we got Bobby Okereke, right? I mean, I'll take that. I said in the last year, we had like Justin Ellis as backups and DJ Davidson. We'd said some other guys, Ryder Anderson, who was obviously lighter and stuff like that. But I mean, now we got Nunez Roches, we got Ashawn Robinson, Jordan Riley, DJ Davidson, right? But Sexy Dexy and Leonard Williams. Our inside should be much better, much better, especially against the run. Absolutely. So I mean, once again, going to be fantastic. It'll be a lot of fun. But I saw this, of course. I mean, it's just this here. This is just kind of I don't know. I just from Giants Wire. Who is this? Who wrote this? Dan Benton. Says Patrick Mahomes just got to walk a mile in Daniel Jones's shoes. How do you like me now, biatches, right? If Daniel Jones were a top-tier quarterback, he would raise the level of play of those around him. How often have the Giants and their fans heard those words over the past several years? Daniel Jones was that good. He would raise everybody up around him, right? Take us to the Super Bowl. But he can't do that. Why? Because he stinks, right? Okay, if you say so. It may sound cliche, but if we each had $1, we'd be filthy rich. That's right. Of course, supporters of Jones would argue that he has raised the level of play around him despite perceptions. The Giants have lacked any real talent outside of running back Saquon Barkley since DJ was selected 6th overall in the 2019 draft. And somehow he still managed to produce. And let's not forget, right? 29, and that was with Shermer calling plays, right? I mean, he played in 13 games. He had a cup of coffee in the one game against Dallas when we were losing. What was it, the first game of the year? I think it was. We lost like 35-17 to him. So, but he played like one drive there. But basically, he started in 12 games. He had 24 touchdown passes. And that was, not a boatload of talent. That was his rookie season, too, right? And don't forget, his first 2 games, he led us to victories. We beat the Redskins and we beat the Bucks. Of course, I think they missed a field goal at the end of the game there, I think, for us to win that game. But anyway, he had a great game. But no, Jones hasn't put up Patrick Mahomes-like numbers in recent years, and no one mistakes him for that type of game-changing talent. But even the great Mahomes has limitations. Ooh. With the nation watching on, except for me, because I was doing video. I was following on my phone, but Mahomes and the Chiefs got to walk a mile in Daniel Jones's shoes on Thursday night. How do you like me now, biatches, huh? With tight end Travis Kelce, his one big weapon with a knee, sitting out due to injury, 2 ex-Giants were thrust into the spotlight. Kadarius Toney and Richie James, who was tied for the lead last year with the Giants receivers with 57. He tied Saquon, right? Became 2 of Mahomes' top receiving targets. And hey, since Mahomes is a top-tier quarterback, he'd raise the level of play, right? Obviously, Richie James would come out with 9 receptions and Kadarius Toney would have 7 touchdowns because Patrick Mahomes just raises the level of the competition around them, right? Mama's wrong again, isn't she, as they say in The Water Boy. It says, well, not so much. Coupled with a leaky offensive line that was allowing too much pressure and a run game that couldn't get going because the Detroit Lions were able to stack the box, Mahomes struggled to make things happen. He finished the night having completed 21 of 39 passes attempts. So I don't know, what is that, 53%, somewhere around there, 54. Not very Mahomes-like. And for just 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, which was really not his fault. Right? He also led the team with 45 yards rushing out of pure necessity. And on top of that, Mahomes was pressured more than a dozen times and hit 7 times. Then there was Toney and James, the ex-Giants, and one-time top targets of Daniel Jones. The latter had just 1 reception for 6 yards, Richie James. And where somehow Daniel Jones last year, Richie James played in all 17 games. He only started in like 4 of them or something like that. But, last year Richie James had 57 receptions, and he played in 17 games. Now, the final game, I'm not sure if he played a lot because we had a lot of backups in there, but I don't know. But anyway, 17 games, 57 receptions. That's over 3 catches a game, right? But Patrick Mahomes managed to get him 1 reception last night. And let's see. And, of course, the young Joker, right? He had more drop passes than he had, obviously, receptions. The young Joker had one catch for 1 yard. Tony, who Chiefs proudly boast as their wide receiver number 1. Well, I'll tell you what, not after last night, they're not. Was targeted a team high 5 times, and what makes sense given his dynamic talent, right? After all, Kansas City was going to figure out how to utilize him properly, since the Giants somehow couldn't. At least that was their pregame talking point. The proper utilization of Tony resulted 1 reception for 1 yard and 1 rush for negative yards. Not only did Tony finish the game with net 0 yards, he also dropped 3 passes, all 3 right in his hands, with 1 being intercepted off the deflection and returned for a touchdown. Mahomes and the Chiefs lost 21-20. After the game, national pundits and fans alike immediately rushed to Mahomes' defense. No longer was it a top-tier quarterbacks raised the level of play of those around them, but instead it was Mahomes was let down by his offensive line and supporting cast. Interesting narrative shift, to say the least. See, but nobody ever says that with Dan. Not a lot of people say that. The people outside of the Giants, right? The people, the people on ESPN, a lot of people and that stuff like that. All they want to do is pick on Daniel Jones. It's got nothing to do with the supporting cast around him. But I mean, if you look at this, right? You go to if we go, once again, you going to what does Patrick Mahomes can do absolutely marvelous things, but he needs help. Hard to believe, but he needs help. So in their 2020, their Super Bowl loss to the Bucs, right? He was sacked 3 times because I think his starting 2 deep the offensive tackles were out. I believe it was. He was doing a lot of running for his life. He was sacked 3 times. They had 5 tackles for loss. They had 9. Bucs had 9 passes defense, but they hit the quarterback 10 times, and he was running for his life a lot. And with the lack, I mean, he had his talent there. I mean, he had Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. He had his 2 prime. That between the 2 of them, they had over 200 yards receiving. They had 17 receptions. This is in the Super Bowl, right? This is when Patrick Mahomes was running for his life because his offensive line in the Super Bowl was having major issues. I think there was the 2 tackles were out, and he was just doing a lot of running. Even with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill in there with the bad offensive line, they couldn't even score a touchdown. They lost 31-9. They scored 3 freaking field goals. Patrick Mahomes with Kelce and with Hill, 3 field goals. Right? Then, of course, you go to, obviously last night, obviously Hill's not there no more without Travis Kelce in there. 226 yards. Of course, if it wasn't for the pick 6, that might have changed the things and all that. But even Patrick Mahomes needs some help. And I mean, it's interesting. It's kind of funny. He doesn't have his top weapon in there, and he looks almost kind of pedestrian-like. 21-39, 226 yards. Yeah, that's Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, now that some of them they might understand a little bit where Daniel Jones is coming from. So, but now to be fair, Daniel Jones doesn't have many excuses this year, even if Waller misses half the season, or let's hope not. But we've certainly upgraded the offensive firepower. So, be interesting to see. But it's just kind of interesting to say. Now Patrick Mahomes was actually playing with some of Daniel Jones's receivers, and he couldn't get nothing out of them, right? So very, very interesting. They missed Chris Jones on the interior deal. Yeah. Yep. I know it's see that's what it is. But I mean, sometimes Bob Papa says that a lot. It's not who you play; it's when you play them. So it's like what you were saying, Chris Jones, right, the monster, but Kelsey, right now, had Kelsey been in there, right? He's going to get some receptions. That's almost a guarantee. Things might have turned a little bit different. Maybe on that pass to Kadarius Toney, that got for the pick six, right? Maybe on that particular play, if Kelsey played, maybe the pass would have gone to Kelsey. First down, they keep the drive going. But he wasn't there. So it's, it doesn't, sometimes it's not always, who you play, it's when you play them. I mean, look for the Giants. If we can stay somewhat healthy during the regular, I mean, the end of the season, it's a lot of games. Then we got to play like maybe the best team in all football, the Eagles, 2 out of the final 3 games. It's when you play them. Well, they might be all dinged up, right? Or the final game of the season, right? It could be a total 360 from last year. I mean, the Giants didn't need the game, right? We put our second and third stringers in there. The Eagles needed the game just to lock up the number 1 seed. So they played their starters. We played our backups. Could be a 360 this year. Maybe the final game of the season. Maybe the Eagles have everything wrapped up. Just saying, whatever. They're 13-3. They're the number 1 seed. Even if they lose the game, they're still the number 1 seed. Let's put our backups in there, or maybe put our starters in there for a little bit or whatever, get them some playing time, because you don't want to sit the starters for weeks and weeks and weeks. But let's put the starters in there for a quarter or whatever. Then we'll put the backups in there, right? But then maybe the Giants, right, need the game, maybe to jump up, maybe instead of being number 6 seed, maybe the number 5 seed or something like whatever. Maybe they need the game. So, so maybe everybody's pretty healthy, but we're playing them the final game of the season because, so the Eagles don't need it. So maybe they got their backups in there, but we need it. So we got our starters in there. So it's sometimes, it's not, who you're playing, it's when you play them. Or, once again, you could be playing them and things could be totally different because, the Eagles are all banged up or the Giants are all banged up. You know what I mean? So, but, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you got to figure probably whatever. 9 times out of 10, if everybody's healthy, right, and the Lions go into Kansas City and, the Chiefs have a healthy Kelsey, 9 times out of 10, quite possibly the Chiefs wind up winning a game, but it is what it is. That's why they play the games, right? So that's what makes it so fun. I mean, the one thing I just hated was, what I mean, when with the Patriots was back, however, the 3,000 years that Brady played for the Patriots, just one thing I just hated was, I mean, that's why they play the games and all that. I mean, I just hated watching the Patriots, like Sunday night or Monday night. I'd watch the put the game on. Oh yeah, the Patriots up by 17 points. I turn the game off. I'm not sitting there wasting 3 hours of my time watching the Patriots. I mean, I just hated that. You know what I mean? But that's what I said. That's why, it's nice to see at least the game was at least close last night. It was interesting and all that, but I said sometimes, when the teams are so good and all that, it just takes, I don't know. I mean, I don't have nothing against the Chiefs or the Mahomes or nothing like that, but sometimes when the team's just every year, they're just good and they're good and they're good and they're good. And it's just, but at least that wasn't the case last night. I mean, the Lions showed up, they played well, and they won. Good for them. All right, then I saw this article actually because when the season started, all of the practice squad, the injury reserve, the PUP, the non-football injury, all of those contracts go toward the salary cap. And the Giants had like about $11 million in salary cap, and it went down to like about $1.5 million. But good old Graham Gano. This was Patty Traynor. She was talking about this. She was talking about there might be 3 contracts that the Giants might consider. Now, the other 2, one of them was Graham Gano, because you can certainly see, or, if he plans on playing football going forward, I mean, he's 35, 36, but if you certainly think that he's going to continue playing football, why would the Giants not want to re-sign the guy? I mean, he's like Mr. Automatica, right? Right. But Patty Traynor was also talking about maybe signing Tyrod Taylor And maybe she brought up also Adoree Jackson. As I said, once again, I don't know what they plan on doing with those guys. Now, I said, I don't know if they want to try to do their contracts or something like that, restructure or whatever, kick a little bit of money down the road or something so they can clear up a little bit of salary cap space. But with Graham Gano, this one I like because now they got him locked up for another 3 years. Cool. And who was it? Somebody told me, was it Patty Trainer? Maybe she said this, that, if you do something with a guy's salary in the season, during the season, right? And the team's, going out of the way to resign the guy to an extension or something like that, whatever, you darn near know without a shadow of a doubt that they're doing something also to help the salary cap for this season. So the terms came out, but I mean, I it didn't say, and I can't find in Spot Track or Over the Cap or nothing like that what his what the salary is or anything like that. But he signed a 3-year, $16.5 million extension. The deal is for 3 years, 16.5 with close to 11.3 million fully guaranteed. Good for him. Way to go, brother. A source told Jeremy Fowler. Confirming multiple reports, Gano also has nearly $2 million more in injury guarantees. So the new deal places Gano among the NFL's top paid kickers, which he should be. Justin Tucker, yeah, I mean, that dude's ridiculous. And Matt Gay, yes, they have the higher average per year salary, but those guys are really, really. But then again, so is Gano. But said the Giants haven't had to worry about their kicker position ever since Gano came over in 2020. Nope. He missed the entire 2019 season with an injury, so that's why I guess he had some of that the $2 million in injury guarantees. So good for him. But it doesn't say here, like, oh wait, let's see here. Where are we at here? Nope. There we go. See, like this year. All right, his base salary is $1.1 million, but his let's see, his cap hit this year because they got actually what they did do. There's some dead money with his for next season, but his cap hit this year is $2.9 million. So apparently they had a little dead. They got some dead money. I'm sorry, 2020. His cap hit this year is 5.5. Right. Oh, that's right. They have $876,000 in dead money next season. Now, this is a Spot Track here. So they don't have nothing as far as, what would you say, his salary this year, his extension. They don't have the figures in there and everything. They just have, obviously, we know it's 3 years, $16.5 million. But you can almost darn near. The cap hit this year is $5.5 million. Okay, his base salary is $3.75. So you could almost be darn near positive that they're going to drop his base salary down, maybe give him a signing bonus or something like that, and save at least a couple $1 million for the cap for this season. I'm sure that's one of the big reasons why they not only locked Gano up, but they also did it early in the season, was to give the Giants a little more flexibility. Because the article I saw last night, I mean, it's just. I don't know where this comes from because Spot Track has the Giants at like $3 million over the cap. Actually, almost $3.9 million in cap space. But if you go to over the cap, they have like $1.5 million. So I don't know where the difference is, but you do know that the reason why they wind up the extension with Graham Gano, they locked him up for a couple of years, 3 more years, which is fantastic. Even if his leg gets a little bit weaker and he can't kick a 58-yard field goal, okay. Can you make a 50, 51, 52? Cool. I mean, just, he's like a fine wine. The guy only seems to be getting older. Getting older. No kidding. Duh. He gets better with age. As he gets older, he just, right down the center. It's like almost hitting like a golf ball. If you just keep driving it down the center so you don't drive the ball 300 yards anymore, and then you do it 275 yards. Okay, we can get, but lock him up, but also save some money for the cap space for this year. So they probably wind up saving themselves probably a couple $1 million. So hopefully they should have at least 3.5, somewhere in that range, $1 million after the Gano deal. So, you still want to have more than that. I mean, I know they were talking on Big Blue Kickoff Live today that they like to have anywhere like $5 to $10 million going into the season, for injuries and stuff like that. But so the Giants are getting close. They're getting close. They still have a couple guys that they can restructure their contracts if they want. But at least the Graham Gano one, we got our kicker for another few years. Freaking awesome, and we saved some money for the cap, so that's really, really good. And then finally, I saw this. This was a shame. I mean, you just some of these guys, poor good old my man. I actually good old Mark Bavaro here. He's dealing with some what was like COVID related. Interesting. There's a long article. Legends giant Mark Bavaro reveals fight for his life. He said, I wish somehow I would just die. So he's got, said Mark Bavaro's house in north of Boston is the epitome of New England charm. He has a room with football memorabilia, but it is understated, fitting his personality, and really nothing about him is a dead giveaway that he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's freaking Rambo, baby. Gotta love the man. He's an ultra physical player who is the best tight end in New York Giants history. You got that right, brother. Except the rows of prescription bottles on the island in his kitchen that he was actively taking. And then he said, look in here, he said, opening a kitchen cabinet. Just as many bottles. This was the first group of the pills he no longer needs. Altogether, between the island and the cabinet, there are enough pills to take care of an entire football team and a practice squad. They are all for him. Unfortunately, Bavaro suffered from a debilitating case of long-term COVID, and until doctors finally found the right cocktail of pills to settle him down after a 6-month struggle, his anxiety, paranoia, dizziness, fogginess, and headaches had him believing life was no longer worth living. It had him sitting up at night contemplating suicide. I mean, just, this is Mark Bavaro saying, you think about it, he said, you're like, what the F? You're on top of a burning building, and how long can you stay there until you jump off, right? You come to understand a lot about other people and what they go through. This seemingly indestructible former All-Pro who symbolized the heart of blue-collar New Yorkers in his playing days, who ran over and dragged half the 49ers defense on an inspiring run after the catch at Candlestick Park in 1986 on Monday night on the Giants' way to winning the Super Bowl, was overwhelmed by a disease that was new even to the pain-racked fraternity of former football players. Death, he debated, in his darkest time, and had to be better than the nonstop turmoil raging in his brain that had him attacked by COVID. Now, I can understand where he's going from, because COVID took my mother. She went into the hospital. She had symptoms. She had symptoms for a few days. She went into the hospital. This was in 2020. She went into the hospital December 15th, 2020. She never came out. She passed away December 28th. So she was in the hospital for 13 days. And the hardest thing I ever had to do in my whole life was had to go say goodbye to her. And she was still alive. She was on a breathing machine and all that. She couldn't even talk. I couldn't even see her face. She just had this mask on her to help her breathe, get her oxygen in there. And I was there saying goodbye to her. Got tears streaming down my face. I mean, what do you say? It's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. All my mom kept doing was blowing me kisses and pounding on her chest. I'll never forget that. But COVID's some nasty stuff, man. It can be some nasty stuff. Can be. Some people have it and they don't even know they even have it. But apparently, we got a hold of Mark Bavaro here, and he had to wonder whether he has been made more vulnerable by all the hits to the head he sustained playing football. He won't blame football, but won't rule it out. So, and here, and of course, here you got Bavaro went to Notre Dame with safety Dave Duerson, right? And they later played together on the Giants' 1990 Super Bowl championship team. He played one season with hard-hitting safety Andre Dirty Waters in Philadelphia at the end of his career. He never played with the Hall of Fame linebacker Junior Seau, but they became friends through defensive end Bert Grossman, a teammate of Seau's in San Diego. Duerson, Waters, and Seau all were diagnosed with CTE. The diagnosis can only be made after they pass away, right? They all died by suicide, and their families donated their brains for CTE research and evaluation. Bavaro couldn't quite make sense of it. Could life be so bad that you want a choice to leave behind your wives, your children, your grandchildren, parents, and friends? Wasn't it the coward's way out? Bavaro's thinking this to himself. Didn't only selfish people check out and take their own life? Well, in the depths of his own battle with COVID, he started to think about it. Bavaro had never planned how to end his life, but you think of ways. How does one die? He said. I was praying for a heart attack, he was saying. I mean, even with a procedure in 2015 to treat fibrillation, Bavaro's heart was beating strong. It meant he would have to consciously decide to leave his wife, Susan, and his adult children. The debate kept raging inside of him. The pain wasn't football pain. He long ago became conditioned to feel like crap on Monday mornings and just about every morning during the playing years. It was his emotional side that was damaged, insisting life really sucked with no end to his misery in sight. I had to stick to my intellectual side and say, your life is good. He said, before I got sick, I was happy as a clam playing golf and hanging out. I was not making a ton of money, but was making enough to get by. The kids were great. The wife's great. Everything was great. There was nothing to be depressed about. So, I mean, he could side effect and effect. So, I mean, he sat up nights in his living room chair trying to convince himself that life was indeed good and that the train would soon get back on the tracks. My body and mind were all out of whack, said Bavaro, who was 60 years old in April. So, I mean, it's such a shame. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you see these guys, right? How are we doing, your family, Jeff? Oh, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. But I mean, you see these guys, I mean, like Mark Bavaro, but you don't know. I mean, like Webster, can't remember the name of it. Concussion. It's called concussion. And again, I can't remember the name of the guy who slapped Chris Rock at that the awards. I can't remember the actor. But he was in there, concussion, and it was a true story. And if you never saw it, it's pretty, because he winds up playing the actor on concussion. Let me type it up here. He plays the doctor, and it's a true story. And he goes up against the NFL. Let's see a movie. In there. There you go. Will Smith. Will Smith was in there. He played the doctor in the movie Concussion. It's a true story. And they said the doctor goes up against the NFL, and he's trying to convince them that the pounding to the head is very detrimental. And the NFL back in the whatever, I guess it was the 80s or whatever it was, they didn't want to know. Want to know nothing about it. They want to know nothing about it. But finally, I think they convinced them. But Mike Webster, the center of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he was their center for all their 4 Super Bowls back in it. He was drafted in 74. And he was on their 74, 75, 78, and 79, 74, 75, 76, 78, 74, 75, 78, 79, their Super Bowl teams. He was their center, and he wound up taking his own life. I think it was because his head, every play just banging heads with other players. His brain was scrambled. So I mean, so you see these guys, these warriors on the field, and they go out and they play, and we're like, woo, and all that, and they play for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But then after that, our lives go on, and we're all hunky dory and whatever, But you don't think about those. I mean, like the guy's knee. He had maybe 2, 3 knee operations. Now he's walking with a limp the rest of his life, or guys get bang into the head, they get headaches or dizzy, stuff like that. You don't think about that stuff, So all you do is see these warriors out there, and they are. I mean, they're warriors, but a lot of times you don't also start thinking in your head, after their careers are over, is there anything wrong with them? I mean. They're back out of whack, anything. I mean, they're walking with a limp, whatever. And, I said that bangs to the head, maybe they get dizziness, maybe their vision, their concussion, headaches and stuff like that. That stuff you don't think about. It's a real shame, but I mean, it's I mean, it epitomizes toughness more than Mark Bavaro, and he's going through all this crap, and he's actually thinking about, I mean, because with this COVID, until the doctors got the right concoction of pill, because every time you take a pill, it's got a side effect, right? Yeah, we'll take that pill. That'll take care of your headache. Oh, okay, good. All right, so I take this, but then it gives you nausea. Okay, we'll take that one for the headaches, and we'll give you this one for the nausea. Okay, cool. Well, then that gives you, I don't know, whatever. That gives you the chills. Okay, we'll take this one for the chills, and then that one gives you low blood pressure. I'll take this one for low. Then that one gives you high blood pressure. Then this one, So you get 300 medicines all counteracting each other, right? And so, at the end of the day, you're taking all these medicines to try to think, and then each one gives you another side effect that takes you someplace else. So finally, you got to get the concoction right, where they don't work against each other. So apparently, for 6 months or so, he was, whatever he's talking about, standing on a burning building, and standing in the middle of a fire. How long can you stand there before you want to jump off and just kill yourself? He says, like, is this the way the rest of my life's going to be, and all that stuff? So, I mean, that's stuff you never think of. He's got these warriors and all that. After this football career is over, it's like, it's a shame, especially, you got like Mark Bavaro. But I mean, you think how many football players each year go out there and play football? Right. And for our entertainment, right. I mean, same thing with wrestling, WWE and stuff like that. For our entertainment, they go out and do that stuff and everything. But it's a shame because that stuff like that happens all the time. So I hope Mark Bavaro, nothing but the best and all and everything. But the guy's only 60 years old. Thankfully, still alive. Well, the NFL must do a better job. But see, the one thing I would like, because it's not gonna, nobody's gonna want to hear it, of course, especially the players. But let's get them, care for whatever, anything, they're mental, whatever, them, their families, whatever, for life, right? But you're not making $3 trillion a year. Sorry, not happening. Okay, so I mean, Bosa just paid, what is it, 35 million? I think it was 35 million a year, right? So I mean, the salary's got to start coming down, or now you can't take money away from the guys, but they got to start topping off something. But so now the extra money we're going to start getting from the TV revenue and stuff, whatever like that. Okay, the salaries ain't going up; they're not skyrocketing anymore. We're not, quarterback makes 55. Well, the next guy's going to make 57. The next guy gets paid is going to make 59. Then he wants 67. Then he wants, that's not happening no more. Sorry. But, okay, you and your family, you got lifetime, medical care, right? I'm sure they can do something like that. I mean, whatever it, if you got to go see a doctor every week, you're covered. You got your get out of jail free card. You show them this NFL card, whatever it is, it's all paid for, right? That I would like to see, because I mean, a lot of the guys, they get their salaries, but a lot of them they have to pay for their own doctors and everything like that. In the profession, the millions are earned, unlike others. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, I would like to see better. Oh, how can afford to take proper care? Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sure, they could. Yeah. I mean, once again, all this freaking money, I'm sure they can come up with something. You know what I mean? All of it, but, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, they want more and more money. But also, I would, if that's not going to happen, let's, I mean, it's about talk. It's like talking to children about drugs. Don't take drugs. Don't do, but you know what I mean? And the little children, some of them will listen to you. Some of them won't. Some of them will grow up and they'll do drugs. Some will grow up and not do drugs, right? But. Well, it's like the same thing when you get into the NFL. You can sit everybody, all the rookies down, whatever like that. You bring somebody up there and say, look, okay, the money you make now, I mean, it doesn't have to last you the rest of your life because you can make something after football's over. Whether you can be a commentator, you can be a coach, whatever. But what you need to do, I mean, and just start showing them stats. Like if you play 3 years in the league, okay, the average player winds up having to spend $27,000 of his own money to go to doctors every year. Just 3 years. If you play 6 years in the NFL, on average, guys are paying $60,000 of their own money out of their own pocket to go to doctors for headaches, for broken bones, for this, for that, whatever, so you need to put aside this amount of money, right, each year or whatever so you make sure that so you can stay healthy or what, we need to educate these guys. But of course, unfortunately, some of them will take your advice. Some of them won't, because some of them want to go to Girly World and buy a Lamborghini for every day of the week. They want to have 3 Rolex watches on each arm, right, for each day of the week. Look at me, look how cool I am. They think money's going to last forever, but it would be nice at least to maybe, I know they do educate them somewhat, but I wish they could really try to drive the point home and stuff like that a little bit better. But I would like to see that, it's just some kind of care that they get for the rest of their life. Because, I mean, they were literally putting their lives on the line. I mean, look at Damir Hamlin. I mean, the freaking guy almost died on the field last year. I mean, that's some scary, scary stuff. All right, well, 1 hour, 7 minutes. Not quite the record, but we're getting up there. This program gets better and better, brother. Right on. Ever find out my daughter was dabbling with serious drugs? Oh, I'd actually take her to the meeting and she could, oh, yeah. But I'm saying it's like, some people, I mean, they talk to them in school and stuff like that. Some will listen, some won't. Some people hang out with the wrong people, and it's cool. It's cool to hit that pipe. Come on, man. Do it, man. You'd be cool. You'd be cool like me. Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, this is great. Yeah, cool. Now I'm cool. All right, we're all cool. Cool. Some people listen. Some people won't for peer pressure or whatever. It's a shame. Some people listen. Some people don't. Good night. Good night, everybody. So I'll be back again tomorrow. So we'll have a prediction tomorrow. I'm sure whatever else we'll talk about. I'm sure there'll be something else to talk about. So, shoo! And tomorrow night will be one day from game day. Oh man, it's like Christmas around here. All right, guys. Well, whoever spends any time listening to me, thank you. If anybody spends any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Greatly appreciate it. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.